Hey, I got Reagan, my little chauffeur today. Where are we headed, Reagan?
To pick up a Bronco.
Is this your Bronco or?
Maybe.
Oh, we'll see, right? In this video, we're gonna do a little bit of an introduction to our first intro to the Bronco, and that was 2 years ago. Back in July of 2021, Amy and I and my son Levi were the very first public group to go to the off-rodeo, and we got to meet a couple of cool guys. One of them you get to meet tonight. His name is Josh Hamilton. We started off on this journey 2 years ago. We go to the off-rodeo thinking, all right, we're going to learn more about these Broncos we just purchased and are on their way. We get this guy by the name of Josh that had some input in on the design, knew a lot of the engineers of the Bronco, has been tied in with this Bronco project for a long time, and he was one of the first instructors there at the off-rodeo. And he did a lot to probably fuel that obsession. But there was some things that he said that stuck out. That's right, Josh, I was listening. You said that your ideal build, or I don't know, maybe I got this a little bit wrong. Maybe you said what you had on order was a black diamond, non-Sasquatch. And the reason for that was because that was the best platform to start and build off of. I'm in agreement of that. It's a good starting point, so you're not throwing away all those good things. We're headed in to pick up a blue two-door. Beautiful little Velocity blue Bronco. So it'll not only be our first two-door, but it'll be our first hardtop. Figured for our guest this week, the timing just worked out perfect that we're able to have Josh on to talk about the Bronco and what we like most about it. Also, this is kind of a 2-year anniversary for us. BroncBuster didn't exist 2 years ago yet, because it wasn't until that fuel fire was fueled with this obsession of the Bronco per se that we were probably one of the first crazy people in the country to get a Bronco and go out and off-road it. So some of this story all starts really close to where the off-rodeo is, out there in Mason, Texas, when we broke the steering and came up with solutions, and all the rest is history. But in that, I thought it'd be fun to kind of bring on Josh, talk about his favorite aspects of the Bronco, what he likes most, what he would change about the Bronco, and hope you guys enjoy this. Here's the introduction to Josh. All right, well, with that, we're going to introduce two guests, but first we'll introduce Josh. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I hope you guys are doing good. Most of you guys know me on the Bronco side of things. I have been part of this setup since early on. Was one of the original public people to come see the Bronco, give it input for Ford, to change a couple things and get it on the street and get the product out there that you guys see today, which was very fortunate for me. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever got to do for Ford Motor Company in the 12 years that I've been out there doing stuff for them. So just a little bit of me just having fun, wheeling out there, getting dirty and playing in the mud.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, Josh is a big part of the beginning of my story, and I think the BroncBuster story. In fact, it's funny because this was, I think, July the 2nd, 3rd. It was 2 days back then when we went to off-rodeo, and it just so happens that the production date of BroncBuster was July 2nd. So
that's awesome.
It I don't know. It all has a little history, right?
It does.
So with that, I'm going to also introduce our guest, Jamie. Jamie, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and we'll get more into your story later. Oh, never mind. Well, I'll introduce Jamie later. So it's all good. All right. So we're going to talk about Bronco right now, and the story, what brought us to where we are, and in that, I got some questions for Josh, because Josh is I'm going to call him an expert, because he's been involved in this from day one, or actually way before day one, right?
Yeah.
I guess, Josh, what was your background in Bronco that Ford brought you in as part of the 40?
Just owning a couple of them and being involved in the Bronco community. I'm very big with like the Bronco Super Celebrations. I've known Tom and Donna for 10 plus years. So I knew the Bronco community and how tight knit it was. And that's probably one of my best things about the Bronco world is everybody helps everybody. Everybody knows everybody. You break down in Texas, someone's 3 hours away. They're willing to come pick you up, bring you back. So I've been helping out doing Ford projects for a dozen years now, launching Ford performance vehicles, taking them out to the market, let people drive them, give feedback so we can change stuff before they come to the market. So just the Bronco world itself. I've had 3. Now I'm on my 3rd 6th gen. I've got an Everglades now. I'll tell you about my black diamond I have. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's amazing. The whole world and the community is just phenomenal.
So somebody said, put up this weird name called Van Wagner. What does that mean?
What is this?
Van Wagner. No, I know who they're talking about. Johnny. I think
yes.
Johnny.
Yes, J-Dubs.
J-Dubs. Okay,
Yes.
So a little funny story about J-Dubs. I actually didn't know he was working for off-road. I knew Johnny as a Jeep guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him real well, but before living in Texas, we lived in North Dakota.
Okay.
And I actually went to church with Johnny and knew him just a little bit. And then here we show up at the off-rodeo, and he looked very familiar. And anyways, it was funny because that's who was there on day 1 at the off-rodeo with Josh here, right?
Yeah, Johnny's amazing. He comes from the Jeep side of things, helps them put on Trail Hero, does a lot of stuff. And the guy is a workaholic. He's out in Vegas now running the Vegas off-rodeo. Him and his whole family live on property and moved out there, and they're amazing people.
They are. It's been fun because since all of this, we've actually gotten together, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9, probably a dozen times, gone to dinner, gone out wheeling, and I've gotten to know him a lot better. And super cool guy, and tell you what, he knows his stuff also when it comes to wheeling. So anyway,
next time you hang out with him, ask him to put on his purple yoga pants.
I think I'd rather not.
Come on.
It's entertaining.
And then walk down
I'll
the
ask
strip
him.
or what?
I'll ask.
It was a joke. It was a joke at off rodeo. And he found these purple yoga pants that had like these lightning bolts on the side of them. And one day in the morning, he just comes out of the condo as we're heading to work, and he's got these things on, and he wore them all day. It's awesome.
I'm asking him when we get off. I'm asking him for a picture, and I think we need to put.
Oh, you will get one. I promise.
I know Johnny's not shy. Okay, so a couple of things I was asking you, I guess, before we started here that was quite intriguing. I think everybody else wants to know, but tell us some of the things. So they brought you in and asked as a group of that original 40 some input. What are some of the things maybe you guys put input on that ended up on the Bronco?
Some of the older generation guys that have had the 66s all the way through the 6 gens now, because like Drew Peroni, his dad, Mitchell Creel out of Wild Horses, him and his dad, anything to do, they've asked us about suspension, body lines, seats on the inside, configurations, what we'd want for like the trail map. So the Bronco off-rodeo trail map, we help give them ideas for that kind of stuff and put them together. And so they just asked for general input of what you would change once we saw them. And it was a couple hours sitting in the shop with the engineers, like with Seth and Jamie and Mark, and just breaking down, hey, this is what is on there now. What you guys have on the 66 changed, and what's new that you guys like and dislike. And there wasn't a lot that we disliked about it. Those guys did an amazing job putting it together, going out for a couple of years, taking Jeeps and 4Runners and just tearing them to pieces and taking all the stuff we didn't like off of them and edited, putting the Bronco together. So there's not a lot that I can complain about.
Was there any one thing that just like blew your mind? You're just like, wow, that's so cool.
The entire thing blew my mind. When they tell us that they put like a 66 inside of a laser printer, and then they've stretched it all out and added new body lines to make it look more modern, up to date. Just that whole process. We had a Bronco made of foam that they had in there, and they were just taking pieces off, putting it back on, seeing why they did what they did. But the entire process that Ford does to put a vehicle together, everybody, wonders why we don't just have new stuff every 2 years. Well, it's a 5 to 7 year process to put something together, get everything okay, get the engineers the right way, take them out, test them, and like Vaughn Gittin, Lauren Healy, Brad Lovell, take them out, beat them up, tear them apart, and then come back with a product that they've got now. So it's a big step.
So if you were to say there's one thing that you really don't like about the new Bronco, what would you say that is?
There's 2 things.
Okay, 2 things.
There's 2 things. Right. The sound system we could have done a lot better with.
Yeah.
And that's
agreed.
Everybody's biggest gripe, right?
Yeah.
Is I take the doors off, the tops off. I'm at 40, all the way maxed out. I still can't hear anything going down the interstate.
Yeah.
And I wish we'd have made it a little bit more a la carte to where, such as the 12-inch screen with the 360 cameras, you could order that on a base if you wanted to pay for it. Or, something that we don't have that everybody gripes about too is rear air. That's my biggest thing that I wish we had in the Bronco. But yeah, rear air and the sound system, that's my two that I wish we could have fixed.
I think that's on your list too, Jamie. Is the
That's the top of my list.
We
For
had
sure.
that on his things that he was going to suggest. and
Yes.
say. Okay, so what about this whole big discussion, controversy, whatever you want to call it? Why don't you get this Bronco and solid axle swap it? Would you solid axle swap one of yours?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
How come?
I like my independent, man. It's so much more flexibility to go over the top of stuff. You go back and look at, Drew might tell you, hey, I'll do a solid axle all day long. I love having the ability to have the independent suspension. I think it gives you a little more versatility than the solid axle does. Gives you more play. But no, I wouldn't swap one.
Okay. Now I know somebody that's going to disagree, and actually, our buddy Lone Star is on tonight, and I will say that if anybody's made a good argument, he's been the only person that's made a good argument because I've ridden in his. He's got that super badass, big blue one that you've probably seen on the internet and stuff. And Eric has. If I was going to do a solid axle, I'd go to Eric, but I'm with you guys. I'm gonna stay with the IFS and just work off of that platform, right?
Yeah.
So
there's some limitations, but I think when you look at it from the perspective of the Bronco seems like a daily that you go wheeling with versus a wheeling thing that you try to commute to work on.
Right.
I agree.
Any day of the week. Now, certainly if it's your wheeler, makes all the sense in the world.
Correct. But for everyday purpose of using it, I mean, most people aren't going out and buying a $60,000 car and just putting it in the garage. And I'm going to take it out on Saturday.
Exactly.
Right.
The comfort of the independent front, it's so much nicer than the solid axle.
Yep.
yeah, if you're going to follow Lone Star. Actually, he did ask another question, and maybe you can answer this. Do you know if they're now allowing people to take their own Bronco to do anything at off rodeo? I heard some talk about it. No,
not yet. No, has not been. There's been discussions about it, but no. As of right now, you use one of the ones that they have at one of the locations. It's mainly for insurance purposes. We go out liability. There. Liability just takes it out of the park. It's one of ours. Something happens to it, it's fine. Something happens to yours, you're going to come after us for it. So that's why not.
Yeah. I understand that. So in your mind, why do you think actually, let me ask it this way. Why do you think that the Bronco has been such a huge success?
Well, I think one of the things is you take it away from somebody for as long as it did, right? And you have people like Jeff Bronco Graveyard, Mitchell at Wild Horses, Duffs that have stayed inside this community for so long and built up the old ones and kept building them and kept building them and kept building them. And then everybody was like, well, we want some more creature comforts. We want a smoother ride. We want this. I think that just helped with as big as the older generation Bronco community is, the younger Bronco community wanted to be a part of it. But if you went back 5 years ago, we're talking about bringing the new one out, you look for a 95 Eddie Bauer Bronco with 250,000 miles on it, you're paying $45,000, $50,000 for it. Mm-hmm. So now we've got this. You can go in, get a black diamond 4-door for 43, 44 grand. And then you can customize it your own way. You're not buying somebody else's stuff that they've added stuff to. You can just make it your own thing. I think that's what's made it is the customization has made it a lot better for the whole community.
So I'm going to get back to customization because that is a big part of what I want to talk about tonight. But do you think Ford anticipated this kind of success? I mean, I'm sure they were hopeful, but do you think it was anticipated that it would be this big of a success?
I think they somewhat in the back of their mind anticipated having a big project. I don't think they ever saw that, we're going to get 400,000 orders in the first 12 hours that it's open. Right. I think that blew their mind because if you went on there and tried to order it that night, the website shut down like 5 times, right? Because they just could not keep up with how many people were putting in orders. So it was mind blowing to see the reaction to it. I knew it was going to be big because we talked about it. If you go back and look in 2015, 2016, there were some guys that put some renditions out on Instagram and acted like it was at the New York Auto Show. Well, the one photo it did was a silver one that was 1966 looking with some new headlights. And I want to say last time I looked at it, it had like 5 million likes in like 2 hours. Like when we were there at the auto show. So I think they knew it was going to be big. I don't think they ever planned on it being as big as it was, though.
Let me ask the question this way. Do you think Ford anticipated that folks like Tyler and others would take it off-road so quickly? I mean, extreme off-road. Like, I want to keep up with that Jeep. Let's go.
I do, 100% do, because I know the guys that put this thing together and designed it, and I know who they had out testing stuff. So if you guys don't know who Vaughn and Lauren or Brad Lovell is, you give them a set of car keys, no matter what that is, it's going to get tested and pushed to its limits. And it's going to go somewhere that you're not going to want to take it. So I think they anticipate everyone doing it. I think they did a remarkable job of getting those guys involved early so they could go extremely test it and know that, you know, someone like Tyler could take it out and do the exact same thing and hopefully bring it back in one piece.
We tried.
Well, then I'm going to take it a step further. Did they? Do you think they anticipated? Because I mean, first off, I'll say if you take the Bronco and leave it stock and do everything that Lauren and Vaughn and Brad and stuff do, you're going to, for the most part, not have problems. Do you think they anticipated the amount of modifications to the IFS right away? That, I mean, I guess really is what causes a lot of those problems, and we got to work towards solutions, right?
Yeah, I think they saw a lot of it coming, simply because if you look at the Jeep world, even the ones going to the mall crawlers are sitting up on 37s and have changed out suspensions, done whatever they've done to it. I don't think they saw as many of it coming out of the gate as fast as it did, but they knew it was coming for sure, because that's why if you look underneath the Broncos, you'll see "Lift Me, Baby," so it's already there. Yep. You'll find some of that stuff. So I think they knew it was coming. I just don't think they thought it was going to come out as fast as they were going to have answers to solve the problems for them.
Right.
So
do you have, with any of your connections, do you have any insights on any new maybe changes coming up on the Bronco?
Ain't playing this game.
No, come on.
No.
All ears.
Ain't my thing. No, I love my job way too much. I ain't not playing this game. Yeah. So I think it's just going to keep coming. There's always going to be changes. You're always going to upgrade and do some stuff, but I know nothing. I'm not going to say nothing to what I've heard from other people, but it is Ford has done a great job, and they're going to continue to do a great job of keeping Bronco ahead of its time, ahead of the game, and changing stuff up. I'm still waiting for when someone says, "Hey, we're going to tear this thing back down. We're going to have a whole new redesign." And I think that's still a couple years out, because there's still people that have day one orders that haven't got their Broncos yet. So, you can't really change up the body and do all this stuff yet until you've delivered all the cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, if it's wildly popular right now, I see making changes eventually, but yeah, I agree. I don't think they'll make major changes, right?
Well, it seems like the aftermarket still has a long way to go right now, just with the model that we have.
Correct.
And, I think I'm excited in just the last year how far the market has come, because there's things I wanted to put on my Bronco a year ago. It just really, there's maybe one or two people that had it. There just wasn't that variety. Now you're seeing so much more variety at the shows, and it's going to be exponential, continuing. So I think
it's great, because if you go to like Bronco Super Celebration, Tyler, when we were up there, was there 60 vendors?
Yeah.
I mean, there were 60 or 70 vendors, and the list just keeps growing every day. Yeah. I mean, you got Jess down at Helibad, and those guys, they're always telling me that there's more people asking them how they can get ideas out there and doing stuff. Yeah. You guys are always coming out with some new stuff. So everybody is in the aftermarket game is doing a phenomenal job and trying to stay on top of stuff, but it's always going to keep changing because everything always evolves. But the list just keeps growing. Tom's telling me for like Buena Vista, there's 65 or 70 already signed up for vendors out there. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, Allie. Allie's on joining.
Hey, Allie.
Well, and and on that, on the aftermarket, it's funny because we find that as we solve one solution, we then find the next problem. Right?
Correct. We push the challenge somewhere else.
So, which we understand. That's part of it. There's no difference in the Jeep world. You upgrade one thing on a Jeep, and you go out and you push it a little bit, and you're going to find the next weak point, right?
100%. So you change something, modify something, you're always going to find something else to balance it out and get better results out of it. So yeah.
So that leads into the next part I want to talk about. That intro, because you had a big part of, in the back of my mind, I didn't agree with you at the time. When I was at the off rodeo, I was like, no, I want a Badlands. I want sway bar disconnect. I want
like 99.9% of everybody else.
Right. That's what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
Black Diamond, non-Sasquatch, modify it the way you want.
Okay. So I actually have 2 of those now, and that's what I'm doing, because in the back of my head, I'm like, oh man, that darn Josh, he was right.
Yeah. So my buddy Jamie tells me the Badland or the Black Diamond was known as the Rock Monster because it was the only other one out there besides the Badlands had rock crawl, and when they first coming out with this. So even when I'm talking to him about doing stuff, and I've had mine on order since literally 3 minutes after it came live, Black Diamond is the only way for me to go. And the only thing that when I first put it out there and you go on there and look at the build, you got the 12-inch screen, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So it was the only thing I didn't like about having my Black Diamond was not having my 12-inch screen.
Yeah.
The 360 cameras are great. I don't use them as much. Like my Everglades now doesn't have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Black Diamond was my favorite build.
So when you off road, you don't use your screen. You don't use your okay. I don't either.
I'm just old school.
It's a pet peeve of mine when I'm spotting people. I'm like, get your eyes off that screen and pay
eyes up.
surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, when you went to off rodeo, what did we teach you? Technique over technology, right? Technology can always let you down. The technique of it is what's going to keep you going, right? So that's what you got to use.
Which one of those techniques that's not technology we talked about before the show was something that you guys actually had input in the original 40 and that was the trail sites, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't know what those are, right?
Yeah. So most people just think there's something to tie down the limb risers to. They don't know they're actually lined up to the back side of your tire to give your actual body lines when you're making turns.
Right.
So people have taken them off. They've added the trail site deletes, which are pretty sweet. You guys have some new trail site deletes, which are pretty cool. But yeah, so people
really delete, but we add a light in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So people just don't know what they're for. They just think they're something cool, which they look cool on the Bronco. But they don't use them for the actual proper what they're for. So
yeah, especially when you start putting tires out and then they're further away from that alignment.
Yep. Stop modifying stuff. It just changes the game.
Right.
Which is part of that discussion, right? We start modifying because, all right, Josh, you're going to modify it. I know I'm going to modify it. And of course, Jamie, he's got tons of modifications on his. So tell us a little bit, maybe some guys that don't know what is all on the Black Diamond, but why a Black Diamond?
So I really like the Black Diamond because, like I said, it's got the rock crawl. So if you're going to go off-roading, I like it because you get the lower, the 446 rear end. So you got the lower gears. The goat modes, you have the extra rock crawl gear inside of there, the plates underneath. I just think it's very well built for a reasonable price for someone to go out and actually use it, to where you go buy a Wild Track or you go get a Badlands, you go from $40,000 up to $60,000 plus, probably paying a $25,000 addendum when you go buy it at the lot. I just think it's the most capable built underneath for what we're going to use it for. And you can modify it a lot easier because you don't have to worry about the sway bar disconnect and the electronics up there. So you can change stuff out a lot easier without having to mess with the electronics as much.
Yeah, because actually that is one of the points is we're now getting a lot of people that, hey, I want to get rid of my sway bar disconnect. So, I mean, and I'm one of those, right? But I hear it from many people. And one of the things we're finding is if you delete the sway bar disconnect, the computer's not happy. And I've had some conversations with some of the engineers at Ford so far, and I'm going to figure something out. I'm sure we can, but so far it seems like there's not just a module you can go in. There's definitely nothing in ForeScan. I haven't found anything in FDRS, and none of us have yet. And I think it's part of the BCM actually. So
correct.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's a very difficult thing to undo. And now at the same time, you can't add it either. It definitely cannot be added as an option because I went down that rabbit hole too, just to see, kind of in figuring out how to get rid of it. I figured if you can add it, then you can delete it. Well, you can't add it. You can't delete it yet. But we are working with Rock Jock, with Curry Industries. They've come out with a really cool, the anti-rock sway bar, and we are going to be putting it on on my wife's Badlands, and I am going to see if we can't come up with a workaround. So I'm not giving up yet. I don't give up very easily. But there are a lot of people that would love to run that anti-rock, because the anti-rock allows you to just not have to disconnect. You can go off-road, you get that flex.
Right.
It helps. And by not, one of the downsides, I guess, to disconnecting is you do get a little bit too much articulation, and too much articulation on a IFS vehicle is not the best, right?
Correct. It's not.
Yeah.
But I will say I love how Ford put together the hero switches up top and how they run, right? So your sway bar disconnect, you don't want to use it at high speeds. So at 20 mile an hour, it automatically reconnects. Yep. So they went in and they thought about all of that stuff, which was amazing. Same way as the front lockers, rear lockers, you can turn them off and on. So the ease of not using it, if you don't want it, you don't have to.
Right.
So I like that you have it, but you don't need it if you don't want it.
That's true. Yeah.
I just miss physical turn buttons and,
Well, it's good it's automatic, because I completely forgot to turn mine off when I left the other day. And I remembered it like that night. I was laying in bed and I went, oh, crap, did I drive home with mine?
No, it automatically reconnects. You're good.
So, talking about modifying, and that is a big part of our discussion every week. And okay, what's the best starting point? And if to each their own is number one, because there's so many, and that's one thing I do really like about the Bronco is there's so many different variations that, hey, you know what? Some people, they have no intention of ever going off road. They just want the look of it. They want to make that thing look really awesome, and it's a mall crawler, right? That's good. That's fine. That's their money. Not for me. I mean, I want something that I can go on off road,
functional,
and that's why I bought it, and that's why, mine has been through a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jamie's, I mean, his is not just going and hopping curbs over at the mall.
Yeah.
No.
But Jamie went out and made it his own thing. Same thing that you
right.
did. Everybody can go in and do their own thing. You're not stuck in a rabbit hole of I have to do this or I have to do that. To each their own. Spend their money the way you want it, and modify it the way that works best for you. Which is I think the best thing Ford did with the Bronco is making it that functionality wise.
I agree 100%.
So I have a quick little short I wanted to show, because I kind of went down this little rabbit hole last weekend, and I'll just let the video kind of explain it. It's just a minute and a half or so. Here we go. So today we're going to we just re-geared the back to 4.7 gears, and now we're going to put the front drive unit in it. So basically we'll turn it into a Sasquatch, because it started off as a non-Sasquatch. Only reason I'm doing that with the portals is because I want front lockers. I kind of want to go play this weekend with it. And I don't want to play on 30, I don't know, what are those, 31 inches? I don't want to play on 31. So I'm thinking we throw a 3-inch body lift. We show what it looks like with our body filler. And wrap those 38s, because we have the 38s ready to go on there, and put it on. I don't know, is it worth the extra work to put a body lift and put all those fillers on to take it back off?
Yes, 4 hands are better than 2, so let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Hidden Falls for the weekend.
Hidden Falls. Here we go.
Tyler told me this event outing is to build up my confidence. Mm-hmm. It threw me at something that was not gonna build my confidence. I was very nervous. I was scared. I was shaking, and not super impressed with it. But
Ooh, Amy.
I had to throw that little bit in there because Amy's a little bit gun shy after a couple of things that happened, and we put her on. The thing is, sometimes the camera angles just do not do justice.
It sure looked like that wheel lifted a lot more than.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's gun show just because she's rode in the car with you.
Well, probably. Yeah.
It made me suck in some air when that tire came up. Boy, it sure looked like it went a lot higher than.
Well,
Did you run?
Hidden Falls. It was on fence line going up the North Pole, and it was one of the hard. It was the optional there was bypass around, and it was the optional where we were with a group of Jeeps. I mean, literally, we were the only Broncos. Me, Doug, and Amy. Everybody else it was our local Jeep group that invited us out. And I think there was maybe one Jeep, 2 Jeeps that made it up it, and they couldn't get. We had one Jeep that was brand new and had about every option known to man, and he broke his drive shaft trying to get up it. And
Well,
so,
it goes to a lot to what you were talking about earlier, which is the driver.
Yeah.
And that's why you got to just put time in behind the wheel, because the Bronco is so capable just out of the box, and then you start throwing some of these mods on, it becomes even more capable. But if you can't drive, and that's the biggest thing I'm going through. I hadn't driven in so long that it's taken me outing after outing. I'm so much better. I can take my Broncos so many more places now that I've got some wheel time under me that I couldn't do in the beginning. And that was the same thing with these Jeeps. They were really outfitted. Some of them were really outfitted, but the drivers had no idea what to do.
they put a lot of money.
They couldn't get up anything.
That's just, the Bronco's so capable, and sometimes it gives you too much confidence in what you're doing, because it will do whatever you want it to do. But that's one thing I love about Bronco Off Rodeo, is, like here we're at the ORX course, walking people through and showing them, stable bar disconnect, and going through some stuff. But it teaches you a lot of technique over the technology, gets you used to being behind the wheel and going through some of those things. I mean, we're at Off Rodeo, and we're taking you through some stuff that you guys probably didn't think it was going to go up to or go down. So Bronco Off Rodeo is phenomenal. If anybody hasn't gone, if you've got your Bronco, you need to go for sure.
Yeah, great story. When Tyler and I went, a couple months ago,
about 8 months ago.
A couple came and said they'd never take it off road. But halfway through it, the lady was like, "Let me drive," and 3/4 of the way through it, she thought she was Lauren Healy, and she couldn't wait to get out that. She was like, "Okay, who do I connect with? How do we get this thing out and start wheeling?" So, I mean, and that was just with you guys giving them the confidence the confidence in the vehicle that was already so capable.
Right. Yeah. So that's a nice thing too. So you get out there in the group of other people, and it's not just you're going out there like Windrock for say, and there's a bunch of people that do this all the time. You're going out with people that have wanted a Bronco, ordered a Bronco. Some of them have probably 65 or 75% of them never touched the dirt in their life. And you teach them some stuff. You get their confidence built up. We go through Texas 2-step, and we go up through go back 2.
Oh, forward.
Oh,
nope.
Keep going.
More forward.
Keep going. Keep going. One more.
There.
Oh, no. There was one you were in the valley, but in that valley where we're calling up the rocks and everybody in Texas 2-step where everybody thinks they're not going to make it. Yeah, going up through the rock face.
Yeah.
People don't think they're going to make that. We crossed through a creek. We were all wet tires, and then it just climbed right up on the top. And you get the people that have never been off road. You take them through the valley there, and at the end of it, they're amazed, and they're like, "All right, we can do this. We're going to go out. We'll learn some stuff." We tell them, "Hey, maybe start off a little bit. We're guided through. We know where it's going." I always tell people, plan your trips out very well, because you go to a place you've never been before, you're going to get yourself stuck in a situation if you're not used to it, where something bad could happen. So just make sure you plan your trips out, but it builds confidence in you going off rodeo. Texas, Vegas, Moab, which is the mecca of off-roading, or New Hampshire. So, yeah.
It did for me, because not long after we did that, we went out to Hurricane, and you got that chute, which looks like it's basically a 90-degree angle up into the sky.
Yeah.
And at first I wasn't going to do it. And then I just saw so many people that Bronco just right up.
Yeah.
And once I got in it, I mean, the Bronco, I hate to say it, I'm humble enough to say this. The Bronco did all the work.
Yeah.
We just shoot right up the chute. I turned around and went back again. I'm like, this is a fun ride.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah. It is a big confidence builder. And yeah, I will also just second that. If anybody on here has not been to the off rodeo, I recommend you do it. It's a great time. And really, especially for those that just have never been introduced to the Bronco yet, even if they come from the Jeep world, there's a lot of differences to how the Bronco performs off-road than the Jeep.
100%.
Other Jeep.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
And then if anybody's in here that's got a Raptor, you can sign up for Raptor Valley now on Bronco Off Rodeo's website, which is pretty sweet. It opened up, and it is freaking amazing.
I bet.
I was kind of disappointed because they won't let me I have a Bronco. I have a one on order, which before you could register with one
Right.
vehicle on order, but they won't let you just with a
Yeah,
Raptor.
Raptor, you have to take possession of it before you're allowed to go out there.
Yeah.
Or it might be Tyler. They just don't.
Yeah.
I was thinking they don't want me driving their Raptors.
They saw Pritchard
Hey,
Kid and
we
like,
actually
no.
Raptor Valley, they let you get air. I don't know if any of you guys have watched a bunch
I've
of
watched
the videos
it,
here
yeah.
lately, but the
Oh,
course
yeah.
that Bob and Vaughn and those guys set up, and Greg Nicholas did a phenomenal job.
That tabletop looks
The
nice.
tabletop is insane. I'm watching the videos and I'm going, dude, there's 3.5 feet of air,
Yeah.
and they're just sending it. So they did an awesome job.
Good.
Well, I saw a Raptor that on one of the forums today. Actually, two of them for $5,000 over MSRP. Maybe I should have just jumped on that.
Should have bought them.
One more in the stable.
I think
Hey, they're still going 25, 30 grand over at the auction.
Yeah.
Literally there was three of them. One of them sold right away, but on one of the forums today, two of them at 5,000 over MSRP.
Wow.
That's a good deal.
That is a good deal.
They're probably gone now.
They probably are.
Oh yeah.
Tyler, you gotta turn in the commission sheet. You probably just sold 2 more Raptors.
I'm not telling you where it was. I'm gonna go.
There you go.
I'm going looking. No.
I was gonna say I was gonna go buy them now and just resell
Text
them.
Amy now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want my wife to know.
Yeah.
She's watching. All right. So back on. Let's talk modifications some more because that is a very interesting topic and what we like to kind of lean in on is the good, the better, the best. And now we're going to go. I want to go a little bit transition over to Jamie and some of his experience. Jamie, I think when I went to introduce you earlier, sorry, your mic or something wasn't working. And
Yep. No.
so
no
first
problem.
off, tell everybody who you are and what you do. What you do in Bronco, I guess.
Yeah, I'm Jamie from Richmond, Virginia. I'm representing the East Coast. Not a whole lot of wheeling out this way, but yeah, I'm a avid Bronco user. I love modifications. It's a hobby now. Bronco has become a hobby. When I'm at work, the next thing I'm thinking about is where I'm taking the Bronco next, where what I'm doing next. You can see here's a clip.
Nice.
See, yeah.
And you're
Yeah, this is,
mostly forest and river runs
Yep, exactly right.
and mud and tree stumps and that kind of stuff, right?
Yep, you got it. Yep.
So tell while we're sitting here looking at your build, what all have you done to it?
Let's see, what haven't I done? I guess.
It's very sweet looking, by the way. I love your build. It looks awesome.
What are the sides of the wheels you got on there?
Those are 37 1250s.
Okay.
But don't laugh, they're R20s.
Yep.
But I need to have a little flash, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. Nothing really performance motor wise. Everything has been mostly suspension.
What are you
lift,
rocking on the icons?
I've got the CDEV Icon Stage 8s. I've got them set at just around 3 inches of lift, just under, with the BroncBuster 3-inch body lift. Let's see, going through here. The advanced fiberglass forged carbon fiber flares, along with their hood. I did a wrap on the hard top. A little company here locally, RVA Graphics, helped me out with that and the whole graphics package. RTR grill, a winch, JCR front plate there, and of course all the BroncBuster goodies that are underneath.
See you rocking a little Bronco Nation badge up front there, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I did a little camera relocation, so I moved that to the front, and the cutout. I needed something to put there, so it was the perfect spot.
Nice.
Look at
There you
that.
go.
I need
Yeah.
to find a place to put mine. I have my pretty little badge still sitting in my drawer. I just haven't found a place for it yet. So
There you go.
So Jamie, funny story.
Yep.
Your Icon Stage 8 that you have,
Yes.
I had the first one that was not on their pre-production vehicle that they had for SEMA 2 years ago. So I ran that on my Black Diamond, which was the cool part. We swapped it all out. Mitchell Watts down at Town and Country Ford did an amazing job. Videos up on his thing if you want to go back and watch. But that Icon suspension system is phenomenal. Ran it at Bronco Off Rodeo, took it up all the trails. They do an incredible job on that stage 8.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just the amount of control that you have over it, and having that control box and being able to adjust it if you're carrying a little extra weight in the rear, being able to adjust your G-shock and your left and right, and it's absolutely amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we were talking about earlier was, pros and cons of different things. And so, one of our products that is sometimes, the one thing that everybody says, oh no, you don't want to do that. It's ugly or whatever. And there are pros and cons about a body lift. So tell us from your perspective, what some of the pros and cons are.
Yeah. Firsthand experience. I originally had the 1.5-inch body lift on it, and it lasted probably about a month and a half or so. And I decided, I think I could go a little bigger. I wish I had gotten the 3-inch from the get-go. So, the gap wasn't too much with the 1.5 for me personally. But when I went to the 3-inch, it was definitely noticeable. Driving down the road a little bit, you started to feel a little drag where the bumper was lower, and it was catching that excess wind while you're driving down the interstate. So that's where I talked to you, Tyler, about getting bumper relocations. And we just had to match up, that I have, it's a 22 Outer Banks. So I had the plastic rear bumper and the modular front. So we had to match up the correct bumper relocation with that. And it brought everything up. And, cosmetically, it's absolutely beautiful. You can't even tell.
Right.
No, you can't.
No, and you did a great job. I mean, really, pictures to show, okay, this is what can be done with a body lift. Yours is one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, it's a
I
beast.
appreciate that. Thanks.
And by the way, if you ever go to a Super Celebration, you have to judge this guy's vehicle. You'll spend an hour trying to just figure out how much stuff he's done to it. Ask myself for Chase Gentry. It took both of us to walk around it for about 25, 30 minutes to get it all put
and I'm pretty
together.
sure you won some awawards too, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the orange, one of the orange trophies. So I was pretty happy with that, So it was hopefully the first of many, right?
Yep.
You deserve it. That's a beautiful, beautiful.
Great combinations. I love
you.
the black with the cyber orange and the.
It's got a real good feng shui. Just a really
Yeah,
nice.
that's right.
It's got a really nice look from all angles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think that's one of the things that makes the Bronco so much what it is how customizable. I mean, how easy it is to pull fenders and do the ADV, or how easy it is to, add accessory lights. And, those are some of the things that, I don't know if you guys had any input on that, Josh, but they did fantastic having all those accessory points with the.
That was all the engineers, Vaughn and Brad and Lauren, put all that stuff together to where it was no more drilling holes. It was just easy to hook up, having the aux switches there to already have power, because they already knew from them running stuff in the Ultra 4 class, having those switches there for the winch and all the stuff already pre-powered, just made it so much easier to customize stuff without being frustrating enough to have to drill holes and put some, stuff back into a $70,000 rig.
Yes. And somebody that can speak from experience, because I've literally had these things tore down to almost nothing, right?
You have.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I can say they're pretty well built. There may be things that we can sit there and complain about. This should have been better. The tie rods should have been stronger. The steering rack. There are definitely room for improvement, but at the same time, we got to remind ourselves, Ford built this for the masses, not just for the few of us that go off-roading. And, that's where Ford has been awesome to support the aftermarket. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
The support that we've received, and I know others, but the Bronco is pretty dang tough. The fact that we've had that thing rolled over a couple of times and I've been able to put it back together.
The fact that we twisted my shock mount and we're able to just straighten it back up, and I'm still driving it 13,000 miles later. I'm still driving
Right.
it. It's amazed to me when I thought for sure it was going to be a new axle. And here I am.
No,
they are
I'm
amazing.
very impressed with the overall quality, and again, there's always room for improvement. But for what we get, I think they did a phenomenal job. So, Jamie, what were, I guess, if you were to change anything about the Bronco, right? What are some of the things you don't like? What would you change?
First for backseat passengers, the air.
Yeah.
They need to have that. Just going by, interior items, I agree 100% on the sound. Definitely need to do something with the sound system. But other than that, a few fit and finish things on the interior, squeaking, misaligned body panels, things like that you can just get over. But on the exterior, I think maybe they could have done a few more skid plates for the undercarriage there a little bit. I guess, depending on the model that you got. But other than that, for mine, having the 2.0 steering rack, I would have loved to have gotten on board with a 3.0.
So if a Gen 7 were to come out tomorrow, then is that what you'd like to see, as maybe a 3.0 in a Gen 7?
Yeah, I agree.
Or a V8 maybe, huh?
Yeah, V8 or a 3.5 high
Okay,
output.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't, tried to find one of those DR Broncos and buy it yet.
Right? Yeah, that'd be very easy to get my hands on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So solid axle swap. Are you on that solid axle swap guy, or the?
No. I like my on-road driving too much. Driving. Used to drive quite a few 250s and 350s on the interstate, and a few occasions where the death wobble. Same with Jeeps too on that front. I'd much rather have the independent front.
Yeah.
Right on.
Is it your daily?
No, it is not.
Okay.
So let's see. I've got around 11,500, and it will be a year old August 18th.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Got some miles on it.
Yeah.
No, that's not bad at all.
Those trips to Tennessee will do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I had mine for 13 months and put 37,000 miles on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot
Well,
of miles.
I've had my truck for 6 months and I've got 50,000 miles on it.
You got to move those T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, oh boy. Oh well, I'm gonna bring something up here real quick. So earlier I said about getting a Raptor, and all of a sudden I see this pop up in the comments. So I think it's approved. I think she said let's do it.
That wasn't out of
5Gs.
context, right? That was
No,
That wasn't referring to something else, right? It was
Right.
just-
no, that's
Nope, it was Raptor.
I went and I did a time of when I said it, timestamp and everything, and so you guys all are my witness.
Screenshot that.
If I go get a Raptor, I'm not getting killed. So
All right. Yeah.
right, yeah, nobody believes me. Well, so anyways, back to the discussion of modifying and trim levels and where to start. Hopefully this was a little bit of a, something that gives you an idea of what options there are out there. If you want to get a Bronco quicker when they open the order banks, don't think you have to, especially now we have all these off-road or aftermarket. Sorry, now we have all these aftermarket options. Don't think you have to start with a Badlands to get a really capable off-road vehicle, because you really can start. Oh shoot, darn it! She's still listening. All right, but no, you don't have to start with a Badlands with sway bar disconnect. There are lots of options out there. I'm more than happy to help. Kind of walk you through some of those. I'm sure Josh is there, and Jamie is more than happy to help. He's become quite an expert in this too. And the idea is that we want to come up with options that, number one, what is your budget? That's always what I ask somebody, because there's a lot of things you can do, but if you have too small of a budget, well, maybe that small budget's not going to put portals on there, because portals is probably, we'd all agree portals is up there and one of the best things you could do. You can put a long travel kit on, and if you do it right, you're talking more money than portals, really.
Right.
Between 30 grand easy.
Between that and tuning
way
it.
more than 30. Yeah, a good done right, like what APG does, you're 100 grand.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. Love
Right.
that.
But it's a good solution, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And we're really, we got to make sure that we understand IFS and the differences. It's not like a Jeep where you can just go throw 6 inches of lift on it and get your tire. There's things that, you could throw that 6 inches on the back and be fine, with a few modifications. But in the front, you've got to be conscious of some items, and that is mainly the geometry. And that's why, more and more, and the more we go out and test stuff, the more we go out and play or listen to people, I'm gonna really start hammering on look at a body lift, especially now that we have good solutions. It's, he's shown with the body or the bumper relocates, you can make it look good. Right. We also have, you saw on the build that I did that little video earlier,
the light inserts,
that we can do the light inserts. And that's, it literally took me on Saturday 2 hours to do the body lift and the light inserts. No, I didn't wire up lights in the back, so I guess that would have taken me some more, but I'm taking it all back off now that portals are coming this week. So I just wanted to kind of show some different ideas on what it looks like. And so you can be, $1,000 into something that gives you 37-inch tires and kept all of your geometry stock. I think there needs to be more weight given to that as an option and solution. So,
especially if you're someone like me, who's just, I'm going to build an overlanding machine. And so, my Sasquatch with probably a 3-inch with 37s, that's the top I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the bypass on the really tough stuff and meet him at the top of the hill with a soda. Or
at the bottom when he comes back down.
Well,
right.
I need the soda for myself after I have to run out of the way.
How about any caveats? You want to talk about any of that? I guess body lift versus.
Well, so there, a really budget, I guess, would be to go and throw some, 1.5 inch pucks, which is it's something you can do. But anytime you change that spring rate on that suspension, you are adding a lot of stress to steering components, and adding a lot of stress to your CVs.
Right.
We're not seeing failure in breaking the housings anymore with the components we've added to the steering.
Right.
But then we talked earlier about where does that go? We push the problem somewhere else, and now it's CV axles, or now we're seeing people that are wearing out the motor on their steering rack, and that's where the Haas 3.0 comes in. Well, part of that keeping the motor from wearing out is many things. I think sometimes the overuse of front lockers is part of it. Mm-hmm. I think that having that geometry way out of spec, because you think about that angle of that tie rod, and that the rod's going and it's trying to push, and now you're trying to push that big heavy tire that's aired down on rock. You're adding a lot of stress to that motor, and that contributes to the premature wearing of an electric motor. So
it does.
Right.
All of those things, think about geometry. And I remember when I first joined the forums with the Ford Broncos, and everybody said, well, yeah, you just get some new upper control arms and your geometry is good, right? No. Maybe in the
right. It'll fix it all.
Yes. What's that?
I saw a couple times on there. Yeah, just do that. It'll fix everything. It'll be
fix
fine.
Everything. That's all you need is just upper control arm. Like, no. Anyways, so understanding that once you lift it with suspension, and even a good, like an Icon Stage 8, that is a really good way to go, because you are using a suspension that's designed for it. They've done some testing. They put it through, we had Radflow on last week, and we talked about, you want to limit that travel. You don't want a shot. You don't want to just put a bunch of height on it and then have everything pushing all that pressure down. The spring load, the valving, all those different things we talked about is important. So yeah, there's so many different ways you can do it. A perch collar, I know I've heard from several people out there that says, well, perch collar is way better than just putting a puck lift on. And I disagree, because you're still putting that pressure on the spring, which is then putting. And I'm not saying don't do a perch collar. I have perch collars. We sell them, put them on. I'm just saying understand the limitations and understand that it's not a, okay, well, I put that on and I'm not going to have problems. Just know what your risks are.
They're the right solution in the right context.
Right.
Yeah. I always tell everybody, when you're going to start doing a build, don't just go on everything you see on Google. Make sure you do your research. And it's different for everybody because you're going to use it for one thing. Somebody else is going to use it for going through rocks. Someone's going to be using it for going through sand or water or whatever. Just make sure whatever you're going to use it for is, a necessity to you, not just because, hey, they said it was fine online, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's why I wanted to make the point about Jamie. I didn't realize this till I went to Tennessee. It's just a whole different topography when you're wheeling than it is. You go go to Moab.
Right.
So we had a good question here from T. Arco and about, well, actually, let me do this one first. He said, I don't understand, you glossed over the body lift. So I want to make sure I'm answering this question right. Body lift doesn't change suspension. So I'm guessing that there's a little bit of a question. No, a body lift is only lifting up the body. So we're disconnecting the body mounts where it mounts to the frame. So the frame stays stationary. The body goes up because that's what allows you to get the bigger tire in there. Normally, we lift it to get bigger tire. I mean, ultimately in off-roading, the whole goal is we get that bigger tire on there, that gets you the true clearance, right? Yeah. That's what gets your axles up and gets to clear. So if you look at the body lift here, if you can kind of see between the normal body line, you can see that filler we put in. That's the 3-inch gap.
And the suspension is right there where the bumper is, and that's still at the same stock height. The body has been lifted up.
Yeah,
the body has been lifted up that 3 inches.
So
if the filler is,
if you look at, so now that he zoomed in there, if you look at the Buster brace that we put on the tie rod right there, that's going to give you an indication. It's not quite at the right angle because I did do in order to fit 38s, I did 1 inch of perch collar. Yeah. So that's where we put just a slight amount of suspension lift because I couldn't do 38s with just a 3-inch body lift.
Right.
And it still required me to do a wheel spacer, which again, a wheel spacer is another thing that you've got to be careful on. Don't just go throw any wheel spacer on there and understand the risks of a wheel spacer. So we went through great lengths to make sure we engineered and designed one that was the strongest. And trust me, I've tested it at, way out there and tried to break them, and I haven't. But understand that wheel spacers, whenever you widen the track of your vehicle, there are, repercussions to that, right?
There are.
Yep. So it's not just hey, go as wide as you can and everything's great, because the wider you go, you're going to wear out bearings. You're going to cause more issues. You'll have, the wider you go out, you can have issues with computer. That wheel speed sensor is not happy when it doesn't detect your track width going wide. So anyways, all of those things, understand. The only reason we put a wheel spacer on is because I can't get a 38-inch tire on there without hitting the upper control arm and right. But I had to get that scrub out just a little bit, right?
So the short answer is yes, it will help you clear a 37 tire.
Yes. So
just as Tyler explained.
Right. Exactly. So you can clear a 37-inch with a 3-inch body lift, no suspension lift, and very little trimming. Now,
as long as you're not running mud flaps, and if you're running mud flaps, all you need to do is remove the little block that's underneath the door panel there behind the front tire that it connects onto, so you can pull that back and you'll completely clear it, full lock.
Cool. So Johnny Bumpa says ditch wheel spacers, go to 0 offset. That is a better way to do it. But I will say that the OEM wheels I think are pretty great. I really think that Ford did a good job on these OEM wheels, and not everybody wants to go throw their Sasquatch wheels out the window. And if you want to, do an 1.5 inch, 2-inch wheel spacer and keep those OEM wheels, it's still a good solution, right? Yeah. So, anyways, so that's really the biggest thing is just understand and, reach out, ask questions. Don't necessarily, like you said, take the word for what goes on the forums, because you get some keyboard warriors that sound like they think they know what they're talking about. And there's so much misinformation out there.
Mama's basement.
Yeah. I always go back to that, check your stats and check your stuff to the old State Farm commercial where she's like, yeah, he's a French model, and the guy comes up in the fanny pack and all the stuff. Yeah, because she got all of her information online. Yeah,
right.
So, just make sure you do your research, do what works best for you, not just what works best for somebody else, and reach out and ask questions, because even if it works for them, they've had some issues and they've modified something else. They're not going to tell you they did because they don't want to admit that something went wrong. But just ask questions, do research.
I'm more than happy. On our website, we have a contact us page where we actually have where you can go on and schedule a time to where we can have it, sit down and talk. And I have to do it that way because otherwise I get nothing done unless I set aside blocks of time to do those phone calls. But I love doing that. I really do like one-on-one, just talking through. And I am not the type of guy that'll try and sell something to you just because I want to sell something. It's my whole thing.
I read on the internet you do.
Well, I'm a used car salesman.
Unless it's a t-shirt.
I can't tell you how many times I've talked people out of what they wanted to buy because they're spending a bunch of money and they're like, you don't need to do this.
I do it all the time. Oil. Yes, correct. Hey, I will have to tell you this, and it's something the last 2 years since you guys have been coming out to the shows. The biggest compliment I have for you guys, besides your products work really, really well, they've been tested and put together very well, and I love them.
Thank you.
But when you're at the shows and somebody wants the tie rods or whatever, and you guys will help put them on for them at the show and show them how to do it, I get so much feedback from Tom about you guys doing that for customers when they come to the shows. And just like I said, helping out the Bronco community doing it. I just wanted to tell you guys, you do a phenomenal job. Don't stop because everybody loves it. And just keep going.
Well, I will say I absolutely love what I do. I mean, this is the hardest job I've ever had because I've just mentally and so much, hours of doing what we're doing. But it's the most rewarding because, I feel like we can make a difference. I love the Bronco. I love the new Bronco platform. And I think back of when I got my first Bronco and, the first 6-gen Bronco, and we went out and there were no solutions out there. None of these things, it was kind of pioneering some of these problems. And I want to make sure that the guy that wants to buy a Bronco and go enjoy it can go enjoy it and not be broke down on the side of the road. And number one, understands the risks, because I've actually talked people out of modifying their Bronco altogether, and that's not my goal. But at the same time, if they make that decision based on education and not just based on, well, I think it looks good. Okay, that look good comes with a cost, right?
Correct.
And it talks people out of it. And I'm fine with talking somebody out of a sale if it means that it's doing what's right for them. So I think that's important. So anyways, I'm going to just do a quick update, and we've already gone an hour. This is crazy. This has been a fun show having you guys on.
Great.
So I really appreciate it.
Love it.
Updates. BroncBuster is almost done. It's actually Terry, not Terry. I saw Terry saying hi, so hi, Terry. Eric has it right now at Lone Star Ring and Pinion, Lone Star Axle in Katy, Texas, and he's 4-link in the rear. He's doing some fun stuff to it. Then it comes back to me. I'm going to do some more body and paint on it, graphics, the hardtop. So yes, we're 2 weeks away from having the finalized version of the hardtop out, so you guys can see all of that. I'm actually going to. I've gone. One of the things I loved and wanted to do from day one is a retro look. So BroncBuster's new look is actually going to be that tough, mean Bronco with some retro.
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it all away. I'm not, but it's going to be fun. All right, I'm gonna stop there.
There you go.
All right, thank you.
Jamie and I will test it for you anytime you want. Don't worry.
Anytime you want.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Send it.
No, we're excited about that. We just released our first build video today on it, and here in a few days we'll have the second one out, and then anyways, we'll be caught up with all the videos out on that process. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Doug's going to talk a little bit about Wheeling for a Cause.
Just really quick, just remember, Wheeling for a Cause, it's coming up like a jet engine, 12th through the 15th of October. So get registered if you haven't already. Probably half the RV sites are gone. So if you got an RV, you're planning on getting an RV, get yourself registered for it. Any of y'all know or are interested in sponsoring, we are totally open to that. There's a lot of things we can do. So either check us out at wheelingforacause.org. There's lots of information there. Or you can always just give me a call. My number's all over the website. Or text me is probably the best way, and we'll get back and we'll talk.
So if this is your first time watching, of course, Wheeling for a Cause is around our mobility challenged veterans. And so last year we were able to give away a really cool tracked wheelchair to a guy.
Very deserving veteran.
Very deserving.
That thing was sweet.
That it's so sweet. So we're hoping to get that kind of support again this year and do something really awesome, or a couple more things too. So it's definitely growing and it's awesome.
And we're definitely taking some feedback from last year, and we're going to have some really great events focused on kind of that 201, 301. So it's a lot like you were talking about, getting to know your Bronco better, taking it from off-rodeo, taking it those next couple of steps. What's next in your driver confidence, and being able to get people that next step. That's what I've been doing, and it's been enjoyable. I've gotten so much more. I've had so much more fun in my Bronco as I become a more capable driver. And a lot of folks I meet, go, wow, I really know it's capable, but I'm not that great a driver. Well, this is going to be a great opportunity to come out, be with some of the leading people that can walk you through and really gain that confidence.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
Maybe we can talk Josh into coming in.
Masterclass, Josh. Masterclass. No insurance liability restrictions.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, Ted Nugent promised some special surprises for us to be.
I remember that.
That Uncle Ted, I tell you.
Uncle Ted, come on.
Uncle Ted's got
anyways, we're gonna throw a few more things to entice because we know how much Josh likes the hill country. He wants
I love country.
Yeah, hill country is beautiful, especially in October. I mean, right now it's a little hot, but
so celebrity guest Jess will be there.
Nice. All right. So I guess the last update before I close the show out is I had word today that portals are here. I'm just waiting for them to release customs, going to pick them up, and
they're on American soil.
We are going to be installing on Friday, Saturday. So the first steps, and be excited to show you guys all of that. This is a real exciting time for me because I think from day one of some of the problems and understanding more about portals, this has been a main goal of mine. So anyways, again, like to thank both Josh and Jamie for coming on. You guys have been great guests. Like I said, this hour flew by. Being able to talk about all these fun things Broncos. So thanks for coming on with us.
Hey, no problem. Hey, like I said, anytime, my Instagram handle is right there. If you guys got any questions, want to know anything, hit me up, let me know. Anything I can help you with, I'm more than love to help.
I'm right there with you. Destination_Bigfoot_Bronco, Instagram and YouTube.
Yep. Both good guys. And again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Hopefully some portal updates.
See you.